Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Fanis Papathanαsiou, journalist with the Greek Public Television, and it's a pleasure and honor to be joined with the Foreign Minister of Georgia, Ms. Maka Botchorishvili. Welcome to Delphi, Ms. Maka Botchorishvili. We meet today in Delphi at a crucial moment for global affairs. The situation worldwide has become quite unpredictable due to raising tariffs, trade wars, and geopolitical realignments, which are creating waves of uncertainty for the people, businesses, and governments alike. So I'm very interested to hear your views on how Georgia is navigating through these challenges and building its future. So let's go straight to our question. So how do you think recent global events and tariff policies affect the global affairs and the global economy, and what Georgia is doing to go through these challenges?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. That's a great honor to be here and great opportunity to talk about different things from Georgian perspective. And it's my pleasure to be here in Delphi today. Well, everybody talks about tariffs, and definitely one thing we can clearly say it had kind of shocking effect on global economy and global market. But there are lots of questions, more questions than answers on different things, how it may affect global economy, how it may affect global market, what will be response from different actors, and what kind of responses are relevant in this situation. All this definitely will have some kind of effect on, in different areas, especially when we talk about global economy. Well, from Georgian perspective, where we stand and whether it is that important for Georgia and Georgia's economy that enjoys growth in recent years. We have almost double-digit economic growth in like last 3-4 years, which is very important. We are very proud of that. But from tariffs perspective, I would say simply that it will not have dramatic effect on Georgian economy because of different reasons. First of all, when we talk about tariffs, we see that there are different kind of, level of tariffs. And so on Georgian imports, we have the lowest 10% tariff imposed. That is one thing. Another thing is that although United States is number 3 trade partner for Georgia, but we have huge trade imbalance. We have more imports from United States than exports to United States. So that is another reason why we should not be that worried about the tariff policy from Georgian perspective. And certain products that are imported from Georgia to United States enjoy that preferential tariff system, which is another reason. But in general, we are looking at that situation quite carefully. We are observing what are the reactions from different parts of the world. What is interest of United States, because that is important partner for Georgia, and where we can cooperate and where we can have common interests. Georgia has interesting location. Maybe we don't have that big economy, and we are not that rich in terms of natural resources, but the location that Georgia has can play a very important role in terms of connectivity, in terms of also different economic cooperation. Georgia is the country that has 16 free trade agreements with the European Union, with the European Economic Area, with China, with neighboring countries, with CIS countries. That's an interesting asset that Georgia has in this situation. And on top of that, the location that Georgia has, it makes quite attractive in terms of economic cooperation and very, very, very favorable investment climate that, again, gives additional opportunity to Georgian economic development.
Are you concerned about the situation, about the global affairs and the impact this situation has?
Of course, we are kind of crossroads in the middle of everything, what is happening in wider region. When we talk about Europe, of course, everything affects us because we consider ourselves as part of European architecture, European security. On the other hand, Georgia is the country that is playing connecting role in terms of east-west connectivity, and this kind of bridge, economic, cultural, and different kind of bridge between two different regions, and can play that role. And of course, we are concerned and we are looking and following very carefully all the developments and trying to develop partnership in order to limit the negative impact on Georgia, all the developments that are happening.
Please elaborate more on this. Give us your perspective of how Georgia views its role. Georgia is in a strategic position as a link between Asia and Europe.
Well, we have played that role for centuries, and we are trying to capitalize on that, and we are developing partnerships with different actors, right? I mentioned already free trade agreements that we have with different players in the region. We have strategic partnership with all neighbors, excluding Russia. We will talk about that later, probably. With Azerbaijan, with Armenia, with Turkey. All these three countries neighboring Georgia, we have strategic partnership with them. And for decades, we developed a number of very important projects for economic connectivity with our neighbors, with Azerbaijan, with Turkey. And Georgia is connected to Black Sea, and we are very much committed to implement a number of projects that will turn Black Sea into connecting sea rather than dividing sea between European Union and Georgia. And that's very important. We recently signed agreements with Hungary, Romania, Azerbaijan, on energy transportation and energy connectivity, and different kind of transport projects that are also important. We are talking about electricity cable under the Black Sea. That is the important project that can be also implemented via Georgia, and a number of interesting things. And on the east side, I would highlight very good cooperation that we have with Central Asian countries. Recently, we visited Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. With all these three countries, there are huge potentials that needs to be explored and that needs to be, needs focus. And we have excellent history of cooperation and huge potential to promote that cooperation and to be useful for these connectivity projects and, I would say, wider European economic security.
Mm-hmm. You were chair at the Committee of Georgia for the EU enlargement. And as Georgia prepares to deepen its relation with the EU, what's the main foreign policy priorities regarding the EU enlargement?
Well, for Georgia, European integration is number one foreign policy priority, and it has been like that for years. Since our independence, we clearly defined our kind of direction, and Georgia was always looking to the West and was thinking about European integration, Euro-Atlantic integration. A crucial moment in our relationship was 2014 when we signed the association agreement together with deep and comprehensive free trade agreement with European Union. And that was very important momentum that time because Georgia, Ukraine, and Moldova signed the association agreement and started to implement comprehensive reform agenda that would align these countries with European Union and would promote integration into the European market. Georgia is a front runner definitely when it comes to implementation of different reforms that are related to the European integration, bringing European standards. And we benefited a lot because Georgia is very much, after 10 years, when you look at Georgia 10 years ago, and Georgia today is very much aligned to the European standards, and it is a very different country. And in 2018, this government introduced amendments to the constitution of the country, and today European integration is part of Georgian constitution, and this is constitutional goal of the country. In 2022, we applied for EU membership together with Ukraine and Moldova, and we got the status of candidate country later in 2023. But we also learned something, that looking at Georgia today, unfortunately, I have to say that very often we see that European integration is this topic, which is a very important topic for the country, is used as a political instrument. And very often it is used to promote instability in the country, which is very pity. And we do everything possible to avoid that, because for Georgia and for Georgians, Europe is something ideological and very important thing. And we don't want to see this process damaged by different players by using this as a political tool to somehow stir the stability in the country. So for us, it's very important. We are very much dedicated to European idea because we consider ourselves as the part of wider European family and wider European security as well.
Mm-hmm. What steps do you think the Georgian government has to make to come closer to Europe?
Well, that's a good question. One thing is how we are doing that, what steps Georgian government needs to take and what steps the European Union has to take. Because this is not the process where we can be alone. This is something where we, both EU and Georgia, has to commit to this process. Unfortunately, for the moment, as I mentioned, it is very often used for manipulations or political, as the political instrument in the country. Unfortunately, what is lacking today is dialogue about how we are doing that. Because, well, for Georgia, yes, Europe is something very important, ideological, that's where we want to be. But this is something new. We have never, ever been part of European Union. That is something new that we need to learn how to be part of the European Union. And same time for the European Union. European Union has never, ever been in that part of the world. So we don't have that experience of living together. And we need to learn together how we are going to live within one family together. And for that, we definitely need dialogue. We definitely need very open dialogue on very serious things because, well, we don't need to hide that this is very complex neighborhood where Georgia is. Just look at the map. It's absolutely complex neighborhood with different actors in the region. And without talking to European partners, it is impossible to turn this goal, European integration or European enlargement, real story if we don't talk to each other. So dialogue is an essential thing that we need to have, first of all. And of course, there are plenty of things that we, both Georgians and Europeans, need to do to implement that enlargement project.
Describe us the state of current relation with Athens, with the Greek government. Georgia and Greece have traditional ties. And is Athens supporting the EU enlargement of Georgia?
Well, traditionally we have very good relationship with Greece. If you look at the bilateral track, it's a very important partner. And well, if we talk about Georgia and European Georgia, the first country that comes into our mind that connects Georgia to Europe is Greece. That is kind of historic link that we enjoy to have, and that adds kind of that emotional part of to Georgian-Greek relationship. And that is also true that when Georgians choose place where to go, very often Greece is their choice because of many things, including historic similarities. And but there is plenty, and of course Greece is very much supporting when it comes Georgia's European integration, and we are grateful for that. But of course Greece is member of European Union, and very often Greece is following the lines that European Union is taking vis-à-vis Georgia, and we understand that. But on the other hand, we definitely need to have closer relationship, because when we talk about integration, integration is not empty word. We need contacts. We need people-to-people contact. We need to promote that. We need economic contacts, and we need to promote economic ties between businesses, and we need to work on that. And of course, we need political dialogue, because without that, none of this will happen. So these three components are very important to promote, and that we have plenty of potential to deepen our cooperation and deepen our partnership.
You mentioned Russia. How you would describe the current relationship with Moscow?
Well, Georgia does not have diplomatic ties with Russia, and that's because Russia still continues to occupy two regions of Georgia, Abkhazia and Tskhinvali region, and still continues to keep military presence there. That definitely still, for Georgia, that is number one security threat. That's what makes Georgia vulnerable. And definitely without having any security umbrella on our head, so definitely that makes Georgia even more vulnerable in the situation that we are observing in our region. So that's the current kind of state of play of our relationship with Russia. We have only one framework format where we are kind of meeting, that is Geneva International Discussions, that is related to conflict resolution that we have with Russian Federation, where we have European Union, United Nations, OSCE, United States represented, and this format is very important for Georgia. Although we can't be that proud of achievements within this format since 2008, but still it is very important to have it, because we do believe that there is no other way that peaceful solution to the conflict that we have. And for that, you need place to negotiate. You need place to talk. So that's the vision we have.
Nice. Many in Georgia fear that a Russian victory in Ukraine could escalate tensions in regions like Abkhazia, regions that are under the Russian occupation since 2008. How Georgia assess the impact of the Ukraine war on its own territorial disputes, and what steps is it taking to protect its interests?
Well, Georgia's position when it comes to Ukraine is very clear. We support territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, and we do believe that promoting international law and international principles is essential. Georgia is first victim of violating that international principles of international law, and we still face occupation of two regions by Russian Federation. So having this experience, of course, that is very much natural to support international order, to support international law, and to support international principles. And of course, we have that traditional kind of very genuine attitude from Georgian people to Ukrainian people that is also very much basis of our support to Ukraine. And we will continue to support territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine. But at the same time, we faced quite intense, I would say, pressure since 2022 when it comes to Georgia and positioning of Georgia in this situation, and we faced lots of misinformation or disinformation on different kind of attacks on Georgia, and that was very clear that there are certain actors that would consider Georgia as another not stable place, maybe around in our region. But for us, it is very important to keep, first of all, stability in our country, to keep security and stability in the wider region, because we know the price of peace. We know what does it mean to be in war. We have experienced it several wars, And we know what is the impact afterwards and how difficult it is to recover from that situation. So we are very much supporting peace and peaceful solution to the conflict.
Georgia has experienced widespread pro-European protests demanding democratic reforms. Your government has adopted a proportional electoral system intended to improve the political representation. How could this change impact the government's human rights record and the accession EU prospects for Georgia?
Well, when we talk about pro-European protests, let's be clear there that vast majority of Georgian population is pro-European. Around 80% of Georgians want to join European Union, and half of those 80% elected this government. The problem with Georgia is that we have some political forces never recognizing democratic elections or results of the democratic elections, that is a problem, and there are certain actors also kind of promoting and helping the situation to evolve in that direction. And it is very important to respect democratic choice of people. Yes, Georgians want to be part of Europe, and yes, Georgians do have right to elect the government they want to elect, and that is their choice, and this is not the choice of any other actor outside or anywhere else. So the biggest problem and challenge probably today we face is kind of responsibility of politicians once you are elected to represent your voters in the parliament, and to keep political process in the parliament, not move it all the time in the street. That is, I think, biggest challenge we have now, to keep political life like in normal democratic countries in the parliament, argue and have different opinions about different things, but to have process in the parliament, not in the street.
Minister Botchorishvili, thank you for this interesting conversation and your valuable insights, and thank you all for the attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
A discussion for China will follow. Thank you all.